I'm very pleased to welcome up the first panel of the day. Today we'll be talking about the hub. We got a lot of great people coming, as you can see. So I will welcome up our moderator, Elsa Bembaron from the Figaro, and her panelists. So let's give them a big round of applause.
Bonjour, hello. So I'm glad to be the only woman on this panel, which is about connected hubs. So I'm pleased to welcome Lionel Paillet from Nest, Regis, Laurent, éolane, Eduardo Aguilar Pelaez from Sherlock, Raphael, Basset de Docapost, and Takuma, Iwasa from Cerevo. So each of them will give you a short introduction about their company and their products, and then we'll go straight to the M and try to tell you everything about the future of the connected home and what's a hub and what are the main, perhaps, points, problem, items we will have to solve with the smart home. So you made the noise, so if you want to start.
Okay, right, no problem. Thanks, Elsa. To start with, I just wanted to come back on what we have presented at the last Consumer Electronics Show. Elsa, I'm sorry, there is a right to use, I know, but I'm citing you. You mentioned before we went to Las Vegas that the post at the CES is like Yvette Horner at the Energy Music Awards.
I didn't say that exactly.
Oh, sorry. So probably you can correct. So we just started with this by showing up our digital hub for connected objects at the CES. What is this exactly? So it's a two-sided platform, which it intends first on the B2C side to provide a simple and intuitive interface for every people to collect and to manage its connected objects. Okay, so you have a single interface and you can play with it. You can gather all the information from the different objects you have, and you can create your own usage scenario wherever and whatever you want to do with the different objects you have. Okay, so there is no specific box, no specific interface we have developed. It's a SaaS platform, and this is the second side of the model. It's a B2B and B2B2C model where we offer this platform as a SaaS platform. It's in the cloud, so it can be deployed internationally. And in particular, we think that it will help a number of companies to develop, deploy, industrialize their own services based on connected objects. In a way that it will give them the scalability, the ability to test new business models, because we observe that there is a number of initiatives, but no real large-scale deployment with a very established business model. So we thought it would be important to provide with this scalability and this ability to change the business model as well. So what did we do from the last CES? So we had a number of conviction there, and we have reinforced those convictions by exchanging with a number of players on the market. A number of players being mainly the B side of the platform, which are the main customers, the large companies. We have met there and we have seen a number of them, most of the French companies and international companies thinking about connected objects to move forward with the service. We've met them there, and we have kept the discussion all along from the CES until now, and we keep them and help them to think about their projects. We were convinced that transversality and neutrality will be very important for them to build their own services. And this is a postal role. Most of you know La Poste as a neutral player, and that's very important. And most of the players we are discussing with do think that neutrality and transversality are very important. Then in terms of transversality, we have, because we do think transversality will drive innovation. So transversality, we have implemented a dedicated team that will help the customer, that is helping the customers we have to think transversal, to create new usage cases for the customers. Okay, so we have, and we provide this to our customers, which is a dedicated design thinking team to help them think about their project, right? And last, we have announced, sorry Elsa, I know you're
I'm the timekeeper.
You're the timekeeper, you left me 5 minutes. What we have announced later on, and it was 2 weeks ago now, during the hacking of the Hôtel de Ville in Mairie de Paris, we have announced the launch of a French IoT program, which aims at supporting and accelerating the growth of startup all along the way with large groups, large companies, and we will then support them and get them locally. So what we think the motto should be is act locally, get the startups locally. There are a number of good ideas, excellent ideas locally, in France in particular. So we will get them in the different regions we are starting this program. There are 4 of them, 4 regions. And we will accompany all those startups until they can scale up and accelerate their development along with large groups. So this was just announced.
Okay, so maybe we'll go to Lionel Paillet and Nest. I don't know if Nest really has to be presented, but you can go on.
We can always do. Hi, good morning. Bonjour. Well, it's been quite a year, actually. Because when I look backwards, the days where Nest was a garage company have changed slightly. We're still very much a startup in the spirit in terms of innovation. And the vision hasn't changed, really. When we started Nest, it was really of the base of Tony building his home and realizing that the products we have in the homes, they are still the same products that we've learned to unlove for the past 50 or 60 years of our lives. They are still the same products our parents had in their homes, our grandparents had in their home. So the vision was really to look at, we always talk about solving big problems, and the engineering team will tell you, wow, that's a big problem then. But we started with energy, and we started with a thermostat, and then we started with safety, which was smoke and carbon monoxide, which is even more a subject in France, recently with the loi Morin-Gemello. And we made an acquisition last year, which was a company called Dropcam for awareness, right? Seeing what happens in your home when you're not at home. This product is only available in the US. So when we started building that, we really had this idea that we should, why do people not program a thermostat? Because it's boring, because it's not easy to use. And looking back at the home automation 1.0, as we could call it, there was really this vision that it didn't take off. It was actually quite a failure overall. It was a failure because it was too geeky. It was like business to geeks, right? It was B2G, not B2C, right, in a certain way. And we're not really interested into B2G. So it was frustrating products, lack of engagements, and at the time you had a smartphone in your pocket, how could we have the same products we had 50 years ago into our homes? So there were two routes there, and there was a route like going straight to the product, but where software would be at the core of the product. And we started with a thermostat and said, well, how about a product does more for you than you do for it? How about this product programs for you so you don't have to do anything? And you use sensors, algorithms, and all those kind of things, and software, but you bring it to an experience that's emotionally engaging and that people will interact to and gives you an extra benefit and lives with you along your lives. So the thermostat was number one. Nest Protect, smoke and carbon monoxide came after. But in the same way, when we thought about Nest Protect, when you look at smoke detectors, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but in 75% of the fires that you have in Europe, and in the US too, actually, you have a battery in the smoke detector. It's just dead. And in a lot of cases, the battery has been removed because it beeped at night at 2 in the morning, and you wake up, you take the escabeau, you just move up and you take the battery out. So that's the story in the life of a smoke detector, on top of the fact that you never test it. So how about the product will test itself all the time? How about the product has software inside it and it's conceived as a smartphone and not as a smoke detector? Being connected is not good enough. Connected is the story of yesterday. Being thoughtful, prévenant, right, doing more for you than you do for it, is the story of today, and that's why we're trying to build in a humble fashion with like the first 2 products of Nest. And then when we looked at the smoke detector, we felt like we should be independent from the battery life of your phone, from whether your Wi-Fi is up or your Wi-Fi is down in your home, and that in a world where tomorrow you'll have hundreds of projects and products in your home live and talking to each other's, Wi-Fi might not be the cutting recipe. And so we looked at radios, and we worked on a program, and François is in this room, he's working on a developer program, but we created our own radio based on like standards, but to just make products speak together without having Wi-Fi being like the bottleneck necessarily. And that's called Thread, and that's been an open alliance, and there's been a few people coming there, and I encourage you to have a look at Thread. So that's the two products of Nest, one acquisition. We believe very much in the product, and that great product will enable consumers, and not geeks, to build their home product by product. And that if we bring those interactions in a thoughtful way, that will be amazing. So their smoke alarm will shut down your heating system. But how about their smoke alarm will light the light bulbs in red if people are hearing impaired? How about when there is smoke, we'll start recording a clip of what happens in your home at that time? Or we make sure that your door lock is open so you can exit your home. These are very thoughtful things that happened in the background without having an app for that, without having a hub for that. And when you talk about when we had the title of this session about hub or no hub, what's the value of the hub at the end of the day? There is really a view of product first, and there's a view of a hub first, right? Our view is product first. So we're not going to create all the products in the home, and we're very humble in that. We want to do great products one by one, but we think that consumers don't have to be engineers, and they can build a smarter home product by product, just have to be able to connect to them without having to be a geek and understanding which radio works or doesn't. So to finish on that, we create a program called Works with Nest. That's the developer program around Nest. So we opened that up with an API 7 months ago, and now we're about 7,000 members around that, and over 42 integrations now shipping. These are real-life integration. The light bulb story is real. People like Philips Hue, LifeX, Stack, and some other companies like car manufacturers. And the idea is, again, trying to leverage what Nest understands from your home, confidentially and securely, with the authorization from the user, anonymously as well, with another product, and create some magic at the intersection. Something that's doing more for you than you do for it. And that's where I started, and that's where I finish. We think the home should do more for you. It should notice you and do things for you with great products.
Okay, thank you, Lionel. You almost made the transition to Regis, Laurent, because I know that communication standard is one of your favorite subjects, so you'll go back to that later. But if you could introduce yourself and éolane in a short way.
Good morning, everybody. So a few words about éolane, because éolane is not very well known by everybody, even if a lot of news about Cité de l'objet connecté, I will shortly address that at the end. éolane, it's mainly electronic manufacturing supplier, in French, sous-traitant électronique. 4,000 people, 420 million euros turnover, 15 manufacturing locations worldwide. So that's éolane today, mainly a lot of business in France. On top of that, éolane has a IoT and end-to-end strategy, mainly on B2B and B2C. We develop platforms, we develop reference design, and for what? To help our customers to speed up fast prototyping and to provide mature technology, which is commodities. On B2B, as an example, we provide hardware, we provide also embedded smart software, called X2M, stands for machine-to-machine and human-to-machine interface. We have a demo with tractors talking with a backend. So we provide for such a thing the gateway, the hub, B2B, and also all the software, embedded software, agnostic, with all the protocols, OSGI, and all this technology to address in a flexible way all this ecosystem. Address market, telematics, fleet management, and smart home box, because we need unfortunately still a box because we have a lot of protocols, legacy protocols, short range. We need to collect data and to push that to the cloud. So that's the issue today. On top of that, that's an activity we are doing now. We are doing also on B2C some activities on a wearable device, what I call connected, smart and connected textile. So we work with citizen science on the program. We develop a wearable hub with all the smart sensors, with all the body area network technologies to address this business. So it's really, let's say, what we call the hub, wearable hub or hub of me, or Internet of me. On top of that, also in IoT technology, we develop reference design and development kit on all the technology, LoRa, Sigfox, Bluetooth Low Energy, providing this to our customers to develop IoT sensor products. With all the mature, let's say, all the nasty things in radio, we are doing this stuff. So we mature the technology and we provide mature, let's say, technology bricks to our customers to develop easily and focus on their, what I call, vertical métier. So that's also for IoT stuff. On top of that, and last but not least, is what we call la Cité de l'Objet Connecté. We launched that June 12. We host, and we have the chance to host François Hollande, Emmanuel Macron, and Axel Lemaire. The idea of that is basically it's based in Angers. And la City de l'Objet Connecté, it's coming from the 34 plans led by Arnaud Montebourg. And one thematics was IoT, led by Eric Carrel from Withins. Eric Carrel, by the way, will be the vice president of this structure. So the Cité de l'Objet Connecté will be a private structure, éolane, but with a lot of stakeholders, more than 20 stakeholders, and I have also some stakeholders around this table, close to me. So the idea is to bring the ecosystem. Since a couple of years, all people say IoT, consumer products are to be produced in Asia. I'm coming from Philips Semiconductor and from Aguilar, I know the story. Today, with all the, let's say, euro-dollar, all the logistic cost and labor cost, it seems that the idea is to, again, create this ecosystem in Europe and potentially in France and potentially in Angers. And the idea is to bring all this ecosystem with all this expertise in RF, electronics, mechatronics to make IoT products, fast prototyping, very rapidly with hosting. Let's say the goal is to host 100 startups in the next couple of years. In Angers, at the city of, à la Cité de l'Objet Connecté. This is the brand names. And the launch will be June 12, and will be 1,000 people, all guests, and key people, as Orange as a stakeholder, Bouygues Telecom, La Poste as stakeholders, and others. And we will be completely agnostic from all the technology, as I say, to my friend of Sigfox or my friend of Bouygues Telecom or La Poste, who are above or below, but we address all the technology and we don't favorize any technology. We need to favorize the ecosystem. So this is where we are today with éolane.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this optimist point of view on the future of French industry. We might go back on the hub later. Eduardo, if you want to carry on.
Hi, good morning, everyone. If I may, can I have a quick show of hands? So who comes from a hardware background? Yeah, okay, that's great. Who comes from a software background? Nice. What about product design? Great. Just pure business? All right, great. Have I missed anything else? No? All right, that's perfect. Great. Well, thank you very much. My name's Eduardo Aguilar, and I work for One Fine Stay. We're a hospitality company that allows you to stay in somebody's home while they're away. We take care of everything before the guest arrives and also after the, sorry about that. We take care of everything before the guest arrives and also after the guest leaves, so the host doesn't need to worry about anything. And as part of this, as you can imagine, we have over 2,000 homes spread across London, Paris, New York, and LA. That's a lot of keys, right? So as a result of that, we basically came up with Sherlock, which is the product I work on. And this allows you to open your house remotely and also send guest keys to friends, to family, and also to the cleaner, for example. And also to put things into context a little bit in terms of what Lionel was saying before about Nest and anticipating what context the devices should be working in. For example, Sherlock could tell Dropcam to start when the cleaner comes in, and so on, right? So anyway, my background is purely from hardware, but then I've obviously moved on to all of this. And yeah, now product manager of Sherlock. And if you have any questions, I'll be around later on. My colleague over there, Nathan, is more than happy to help. And also, we have a very happy customer, Raphael, who has it in London. So if you have any questions, I'm sure he'll also be able to tell you. And I can officially say that today, Sherlock is in France. So we did the first installation yesterday, and that went great. So we've been working in London, but we're now in France as well. So great. That's mainly me.
Thanks for the scoop. I'm happy as a journalist to have it
Thank you.
with everybody. That was a short presentation. Thank you. Takuma, you have to take the challenge.
Okay. So nice to meet you. My name is Takuma Iwasa. I came from Tokyo, Japan yesterday. And I have to introduce my company because my company is a very small company, just only a garage, the startup company, as 2 or 3 years before this him. So I founded a new company from 2008. Before this company, I worked in Panasonic as a product planner. So I just raising the hand by the hardware section, but my purely correctly business background is the product planning of the hardware. I touched some of the TV and digital camera and DVRs. Almost all the product as connected devices. But please image the 7 years before, the hardware company, huge hardware company, connected. They doesn't understand what is connected. So what is internet? What is the handset? What is the smart devices? So I'm very faced on the huge wall as a connected device into a huge company. Then left the huge company and started a startup company from 2008. So the Nest and my company is a very, very different the way of the connected hardware company. So they focus on the consumer and very popular the market. And I understand what is the huge the market of the consumer electronics. So I think so. Once I'm going to successful in a very, very the innovative market, then I found some of the key, some of the it's diamond in the market. So maybe quickly the actions, the Sony, Panasonic, Sharp, the huge company coming into this diamond the market. So I think that is the Kickstarter guy says the Pebble is the successful, and they get a huge diamond of the smartwatch. But after 1 or 2 years, the huge guys, Apple, Samsung, Panasonic, Sony, they already coming into this market. And the battle is very, very tough. I understand how to attack them to go into the market. So I decided to focus to the very, very niche market. And I'm going to make a very, very variety of the niche product. We are going to just develop in 10 different type of the niche product. Then I'm going to distributing the very, very niche product to the global market using the internet, the e-commerce, and some of the internet-based promotion. So our latest product is a connected snowboard binding device. That is built in the Bluetooth and many sensors inside to the snowboard. So tomorrow I will the demo in the demo pit. So our other product is a smart home device. That is a power strip built in the Wi-Fi. And you can control your light, and you can control everything the product on the devices from your smartphone. That is a very popular device, but our one is a very big one and a very cool user interface and an effective price. So I just think that is a niche market. So that is roughly my background. So tomorrow I will do some of the demo in the stage and the demo pit. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So yesterday I was at the MatePay and GFK just gave some figures about the connected home, the smart home, or la maison intelligente, since we're in France, and they forecast just in France a 1.4 billion market for this year. And one of the problems is how to use those new connected products. Internet of Things, and so we're straight to a point about what's a hub. Maybe you could start, Raphael, about what's a hub, and what's the main answer? Because if I have a thermostat, a locker, stay in some station, some camera, and do I need to have 24 apps on my iPhone, or do you have a solution for me?
Thanks. Yeah, this is the whole point. You have different suppliers, you have different objects, you have different applications, and then we come to the digital nightmare. Actually, in the hands of the user, it's very difficult to use. So this is the whole point of the digital hub that we have built and presented at the last CES, and we demonstrated here as well. It is to simplify and aggregate all those objects in a single interface that is easy to use for every end user. And this is the point of the B2C side I was referring to earlier today. For us, it's not a question of what is the right standard, what is the right radio system that will be used. The point is not there, and it's going to evolve every year. It will change. Probably twice, 10 times a year. So it's going to be very difficult to follow up. The point is that all those objects are getting connected. This is the principle of IoT. So in a way, we can gather all those information and put them in a cloud system where the user will be able to interact. The other point is all those objects will reflect your own activity at home and outside home, of course, because you have activity trackers, you have every IoT system outside of your own home, in the car or everywhere. This reflects your life, the way you live. This reflects the time you get out of home. This reflects the fact that you're using your washing machine. It reflects the fact that you're using your car and where you are. So all of these information are really personal information. This is one of the stuff we strongly believe in, is confidentiality of this information is very critical. And we do believe that this, managing this information should be the user's stuff and only the user's stuff. So that we are aiming at putting the interface in the hand of the user to make sure that he can control the information from the different objects he has, right? And he can give access or reject the access to anyone he wants. It can be friends, it can be whoever, and it can be a supplier, a service supplier as well. So we want to make sure the user is able to manage his own information. So the hub for us is just a cloud platform that we have built. It's going to interface all the connected objects around the world, if possible. Okay, so we are trying to interface all the main objects so far, and we will publish pretty soon what we have already interfaced. But the point is there. Interface all those objects, make sure the user can interact with them in a simple and efficient way, with the stuff that is the use case of the user will be its own use case. Probably it's going to be very different from the use case from a neighbor or for a friend. But there will also be a machine learning system that will help provide support, help the user do it and do more things for you, actually, as Nest sold.
Yeah, I think that on learning machine Nest might have a point of view.
Can I little comment about it? Sure. So I completely agree for him. And the opinion is very simple. So the IoT is just born. They are only a 3 years old or 4 years old child. Very cute, but they're very difficult to care. So that's the answer of the mobile phone, the 20 or 30 of the apps for control the IoTs. So please image the car. So 40 years of the car driving is very, very difficult. You have to kick the clutch and you have to change the gear and you have to care about the engines and some of the temperature or blah, blah, blah. But currently, your car is very, very easy to drive. Just only put a gas pedal, and as the newest Japanese car is automatically stopped by the camera or something. And
European cars do that also.
Yeah. And Google's already started the automatically driving car as well. So that is same as IoT. Maybe the hardware company and our entrepreneur is bring much more easy, using the many the stuff like server side and like hardware to the hardware. That is my answer.
Just maybe go back on something you said, Raphael, saying that the hub will be on the cloud, but maybe people would like to have a box at their home to be sure all their data will be their own and that nobody like Google will use them. Eduardo?
Just a few words. You are talking about a SaaS hub platform, correct? We will have this platform to harmonize all the various language. In IoT, you have the language and you have the protocols. On the protocols point of view, today we have legacy protocols since decades and decades from electric makers, Nest, all the guys doing their own protocol for alarms, for stuff, and so on and so on. These protocols are short range. How to manage short range today? I mean short range, 5 meters, 10 meters, 20 meters. You need to collect data, for sure. So you need a hub. What is a hub? A telco box? A smartphone? Thermostat? You need a hub. So for sure, a hub will be hardware hub will be at home, hidden or not hidden. It will be an object. It will be something hidden in the back room because you don't want to talk about this. But you need a hub. The hub should be could be stupid things, but the hub should be agile, capable to detect all the protocols in a seamlessly pairing the different connected objects and push the data to the SaaS platform. Of course, you have Sigfox, you have LoRa, long-range protocol. But this long-range protocol don't need a hub. But is it for home automation, applicable for home automation? Yes and no. So based on the application to open your doors for alarms or smoke detectors alarm, you need Sigfox, that's fine, LoRa is fine. But if you need more and multimedia, because the hub should also address multimedia, should address also alarms with more data and pictures and so on. These long-range are not, let's say, capable to manage this data traffic. So a hub will be, hardware hub, unfortunately will be for a long time still, let's say, something you need to host at home. Hidden or not, it will be perhaps a nice object, fashion, luxury object, or perhaps something hidden in the back room. But this data will harmonize all the data to the SaaS, and the SaaS will manage the various language and will manage and value the data and expose the data to the application. So the hub is needed, hardware, to connect objects together and give sense to data. That's the view of éolane.
Hi. Yes, the point you made is actually very, very similar to the point I was just about to make. So we're referring to the hub, and just by definition, the hub itself is just a location or a thing in which different signals or different devices interact, right? But we need to make sure that we look at this in a slightly different way. So we have the data hub where, as you said, you have many different devices, whether it's a phone or it's a door or it's a thermostat. They go and place the data and say, all right, well, this is what the signals have been so far. If any other device from any other manufacturer queries that data in order to decide what to do, then that's the data hub. Then you also have the hardware hub, which is obviously very needed because a lot of these IoT devices run on batteries. And you can't have a very long range RF signaling service if you expect the battery to last any more than 2 weeks at max. Obviously, it depends on the size, but anyway. So it's very important that we talk about the hub in the cloud, where you have lots of different APIs and you have different manufacturers talking to each other and agreeing, which I think works with Nest as one of the leaders in that sense. And then you also have the low level hardware in the home, which is what éolane is doing, and also Thread in terms of protocols. So from that point of view, they're two very different things, but they both serve a very specific purpose. And yeah, the other final thing about protocols is that although IoT might seem very, very new, the actual machine-to-machine has been going on for quite a while, so trains could check the status of the rails before they went. Then that also evolved into the intranet of things, where people inside a company knew exactly the state of each different thing. And then now it's going into the Internet of Things, where users and the public have access to it. And as a result, not just a silo within one company, but also any other companies from any other manufacturers that the user might choose. And so from that point of view, both are very important. So both in the cloud and at the low level.
So the hub is needed, and can it be a smart hub, Lionel?
I think we talked about hubs and data hubs and stuff, and I think the user doesn't care. If you want the home, the connected home to take off, people don't care. They care about great products. They care about the engagement they have with products that they never engaged with before. Or we go into a home automation 1.0, like, we go back 15 years ago and again. So we connect to Wi-Fi and set-top boxes and worked with Nest. We have partners who high-end partners like Crestron and some others. And part of Thread, you have a number of people who are also doing hubs. So that's fine, they can work with it. The thing is not the hub to be the thing that you notice when it fails, right? The thing that enables things to happen. Then the control of the user and the data, I think as long as it's easy, it's straightforward, the benefit is evident, things will start to materialize. Then we can talk about how it works in the background, but in essence, when we created the developer program, it was really an API. It was the user decides through an app interface on his app to connect his app with another app. And then the magic will happen. But there is no button for this. There is nothing. That's our view. They're just like very simple use cases, basic actions, predict things, do things unattended, so they're there. Not another universal remote control with a list of buttons and where you have to be a PhD to make things work. So we really go back to the essence of either product first or hub first, but if you work with a hub and you need Wi-Fi connectivity, or you talked about radio and short range and long range, for the user, it doesn't care.
The
right?
user needs
You could spend your life on explaining what Bluetooth LE is, or different things, or Thread. It's not the point. I think the point is going to be really about product and how we enable those products to come into people's homes and to be great benefits. And you talked about data after. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about this, but as the home is the most private place on earth, that has setting basically a challenge for all manufacturers, including ourselves, and even more as we're now part of Google, to just do things absolutely right and be extremely respectful of the customer. Otherwise, it will never take off.
So it's kind of an invisible hub that learns by itself. You wanted to add something, Eduardo?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I completely agree. The product is what comes first, and that's what the user sees. I was just mentioning the actual technology behind, so we do the hard work to make sure everything works, and then the user doesn't worry until, for example, it fails, and then that's when they know it even exists. Now, in terms of smart hub, which is what you asked, this comes into play inside the home at the very low level when you have very high privacy settings. So for example, in Germany, Deutsche Telekom has a program where they help the Internet of Things, but the actual data never leaves the user's home. And that becomes very tricky, right? So what you need to do is to then download the algorithms into the smart home for it to then say, okay, well, the door just opened, so I'm going to turn the lights on, and these sort of things. So it's going to be a hybrid whereby some products are going to delegate all their thinking to the cloud, right? And then some other products where privacy is very important are going to delegate the thinking to the hub. So it might not be a clear cut whether it's one or the other, but when privacy comes in, a lot of the thinking will need to be done indoors.
Okay, so kind of a hybrid. Did you agree with that? Because Docapost is like of being one solution, not a hybrid one.
Well, what I think is, as long as you can manage a number of scenarios inside the home and without letting the information get out of the home, that's fine. What we do feel is there should be a way for the user to share the information in some point in time. That means sharing the information might be getting out of the home, and then there is a need for a stronger security, a stronger promise for security. And this is what we do really believe, and this is what we implement in our own hub, which is a way for users to really secure the information. We probably, you know that we have posted a new application which is called Digipost Pass. Digipost is what? Sorry for the non-French people who probably don't know. Digipost is what? Digipost is a safe where you can store all your critical documents, like your ID card, like your account management stuff from the bank, like all your invoices, like all the stuff you probably need in your day-to-day life. You need to store them in this safe, and we are providing the safe, okay? The data that comes from the IoT, from your personal objects or your home objects, will be stored in the same way, in the same safe. Whether you want to open it to someone else, you will be able to do it, and that's going to be under your own control. It's not going to be under someone else's control. So then we are getting out of the home, okay? Right? There is a number of scenarios where data should remain at home because it can be used and managed at home to develop your own usage scenario. Still, the data, the aggregated data, will have to be controlled by the user, managed by the user in a very simple and easy way.
And I want to be sure that my smart house won't sell any message to the thieves saying, hey, they're gone, you can come in. So who will secure that? Who will make it sure that all the information, well, first of all, concerning my house to be unoccupied, won't go on the cloud and won't go to some untrustable person?
You know, I go back to 2010. So when we had the first product sold in retail, we were writing on the box what we do with the data, what's going to happen, what the user needs to absolutely know. And it's not like T's and C's of like 20 pages that when you want to get your software upgrade on your new phone, you want iOS 8 or whatever, just go, you scroll, you don't read anything, you just go click accept because you want this upgrade so much. So this is really about, I think, taking a very deep responsibility as manufacturers of products and developing software to be first transparent with the user. I think there's really that best practice of like telling what you do and trying to, it's very hard, I think, to define like what's creepy, what's not creepy, right? In terms of what you share and where you go. But once you really put that cursor, is trying to not to change your mind every other day. And then being very explicit with the user about what you do, what you don't do, being aggregated and not PII, right? So that's really key. But also at all the layers, using encryption, using data storage, not putting passwords in admins like admin or admin1234, right? Like we have seen in this industry. So a lot of that is common sense, but is really something that if we want this market to take off, back to your comment about GfK or a research study saying, how is that going to take off? Still the start, but if we want to take that off, the user has to be comfortable, especially as the home is the most private place on earth. You break that trust, you're essentially out of business. This is very as simple as this, right? This is black and white. So we got to really be clear, but I think we've got to be transparent with the user. When we did the Nest, the developer program with Nest, it's very simple. So you have your Philips Hue app, take an example. You want to connect your light bulbs from your Philips Hue account to your Nest account. You go on Philips Hue app, connect with a Nest account, enter the credentials. That's OAuth 2.0, that's encrypted, and that gives you clear T's and C's. You cannot all times revoke that conversation and say, I don't want this conversation, I don't trust Nest, or I don't trust Philips Hue. The user decides. But you have to be very explicit so that he understands that he can decide. He understands what he's sharing and what benefits he gets in return. And that, as you said, you're not going to get like tomorrow, like, oh, here is the fridge you should buy, because that's, we know your habits, or we know a lot more than that, and that comes to you unattended. That would be creepy.
Yeah, and you don't have to be sure it's not business to geek you're going to.
That's right. Just a compliment before we get to your point. The fact that you're not at home is the information is not issued from a single device. The door is closed. Doesn't necessarily mean you're not at home. It can be that you're at home, but you want the door to be locked. That's it. If you have no presence at home, just means that probably you're not moving, or you might be sleeping, because your presence detector does not see you moving, right? So it's not, again, because the presence detector does not see you moving, that you're not at home.
Yes, but in a house when you have, well, according to JFK, they imagine that you will have more than 30 connected objects at home in a couple of, well, more, 5 years, meaning that they surely will know if you're in or out.
That's right. This is the point where I wanted to go. The real information and the true information that tells you you're not at home is an aggregation of different information. And this is this aggregation which needs to be secured.
Yeah, but this aggregation isn't hub, Eduardo.
Well, what I was going to say is that there's a very easy solution to this. Apart from, obviously, you have to trust everybody that keeps your data. You could have a holiday mode that just replays the last 2 weeks at random and makes everybody else believe you're at home, but in reality you're not. So it's a bit like the Home Alone scenario where the kid is playing around and moving people around. You can make the cloud believe that you just switched on the light. The same way that 10 years ago, we had a timer that makes everybody outside believe that you just switched on the light. So these sort of solutions will one day come. It's just not so much how big the problem is, it's really how we fix it. And if you have a random generator that makes it look like you're still in, it's fine. At least that's my initial perspective on it.
We talked about aggregated and about one thing at the back of it, which is learning and algorithms and software. I mean, you need to get like not just sensors by themselves that don't do much. Need really to get like the right intelligence around that. Getting that aggregated again, the user needs to really understand what it is, and then whether it decides also to say, hey, I'm away, and declare that I'm away, and then trigger a number of actions, which could be simulate presence with lights when I'm away, or put the camera in recording mode when I'm away. So these are the kind of things that would be really great to have, and even without the user to do much about that apart from declaring, well, that I'm away. So there is this notion of learning, but there's notion of the decision of the user, what he wants to say about his home, and trigger the right actions.
And what's the value of all those things for the consumer? Maybe Takuma, you want to tell a few words about the value? What could the person expect from this smart home above than, oh, the lights go on when I come in, which is wow, but thinking of it, not that useful. Do you think it's gonna to be energy saving? It's gonna to be safety? It's where is the value you more expect on the?
I could cover a few, but at least from what we saw, we started with thermostat, and the reason we started that was 60% of your energy consumption comes from a beige device that you don't program in 80% of the cases around the world.
I tried to program my old one and I gave up.
Right. So that's unfortunately like our life for the past 50, 60 years. And we thought that connected was not good enough. So how about the thermostat will notice your habits and understand your preference and start to program for you. So again, build that more as a smartphone than a thermostat. The thermostat was gone from the picture. It was not like redesigning a connected object from the basis of what existed. But the saving were like massive and depend really on the home and the installation and usage, but they were saving like hundreds and hundreds of euros. And we see that also in Europe today, since we started that. On smoke and fire, I mean, these are, smoke happen at night, fires happen at night for the most part. There's the second, liability cause for insurance companies after flooding. Flooding is probably number one. In the UK, for the past 10 years, having smoke alarms has reduced by 2 the number of fires into the home. So I think it's a pretty important thing. It's a pretty big deal. Besides the comfort. that we're talking about, having the lights come when you come home, and all those notions of having a home that is more thoughtful. But there's also some really big things, which could be about energy, about safety, about awareness, generally about what happens when you're not there. Aside of like the home maybe of the Jetsons that we had many years ago, of like I push the door and then there are 25 actions that are all chained, which is maybe like where we're coming from for the past 15 years, but that hasn't taken off. That hasn't materialized.
And who wants to take a question about home appliances being connected? Because there's something also coming. It's like connected fridge, knowing that A, you need to order butter, or you're running out of beer. Since you're men, maybe it's more.
I worked in Panasonic, so the Panasonic launched the connected fridge 15 years ago.
Yeah, we're still looking for it.
No use case in a dial-up through internet. But I think almost all the devices will be connected. So I don't have any good answer how to feel the much more rich the life to connect your fridge to the internet. But maybe some of the entrepreneur will find some of the great use case. Sometimes the one example is the remaining of the milk, remaining quantity of the milk and the remaining quantity of the egg. And the milk and egg every day you are going to eat. And sometimes forget to buy the refill. But once we are going to fill in some of the sensors, so very easy to share the remaining quantity of the milk or remaining quantity of the egg. But that is a connected fridge. But I think the easy way to come into the fridge market. So it's not a connected fridge, I think. It's a connected bottle, or it's a connected egg tray or something. The small things is easy to buy by the consumer and easy to build by the manufacturer. Then a huge company building a fridge. So if our company will be make a fridge, we have to spend a huge money to build manufacturing it. But the connected bottle or connected egg tray is very easy to manufacturing, and the consumer as well, the easy to buy, less than $99.
Yeah,
Well, with that, I'm going to the industrial guy.
If you want. Yes, connected fridge, connected kitchen, it's almost a reality. Is it a gadget or not? We will see. The real value I see on my day-to-day basis when I'm in front of my boiler, HVAC system. It's an Airbus system, as you mentioned, very complex. I'm not expert. I try to manage the low ADO, water low, and it's a nightmare. The real benefits of IoTs tomorrow or even today, I spent times with GDF Suez on, let's say, boiler as a service or ventilation system as a service, is to have predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance. When you have a filter or your boiler is out, it's a nightmare. And there is real value for all the chain, the end user, and also the guys repairing the hot boiler or the ventilation system. The intervention will be at the right time. Same for a washing machine. You know, same system. Predictive maintenance, reporting all the data to the machine makers and the administrators of the system will be a real value for the end user. That's, for me, a real value at home, for sure.
With maybe a user permission in the middle. But on the white goods, I give you two examples. We've done a few, on Works with Nest, we have a few integrations with white goods and consumer electronics. So the bottle, I think, is an interesting idea. The other one could be, there could be like great things about safety, back to safety and comfort, right? You could say, well, if I declare I'm away from home, the fridge will not get the doors opened, right? So you don't need to run the compressor so high in kilowatts. So you could save actually a lot of electricity on your fridge by just running into eco mode when you're not away. You never put the eco mode into this, right? But the fact that it's actually connected, and actually Internet of Things is probably the worst name we could think, like things. It's just like objects will be connected. That's just the principle. But then it could really turn a fridge into eco mode. If there is fire in your home, then your ventilation, your extractor closes, because you don't want, air to come into the home and increase the speed of the fire propagation. So these could be like use cases which are very thoughtful, very very simple, but they might not be like in your face, like it's going to order, 12 eggs because it knows you need 12 eggs right now. Maybe it does, but we think probably it's going to be like more deep and like having an impact on your bill or on your safety first.
Maybe if we have some question in the audience. Don't want to wake you up. Okay, so we'll carry on by ourselves.
Maybe to change, I think it's very interesting to change the perspective from the end user to large companies which will be interested in providing new services to their own customers. What we see in the insurance world is most of the companies in the insurance world are now trying to develop their own system, aggregating existing solutions on the market or building their own solutions. They will push this to the end user, and this is a second wave of the IoT. The appropriation by the large companies that will help simplify their customers' life is very important as well. So it all depends about the simplicity you're able to provide to your customer, the way that you're able to say there is a predictive maintenance action to be performed on a washing machine, for example, will also help push this IoT world forward and provide more simplicity to the customer. That's the whole point. We probably don't know yet what are the real benefits for the end user to use connected homes or IoT as a whole. We will see a number of initiatives in the next 12, 24 months that will emerge from large companies providing more services to their customers. And that's going to be a very interesting way. Insurance is showing the way, I think, today.
And how could I be sure that my insurance company will use the proper data? I mean, okay, you might pay less if your home is well protected, but you might pay more if you eat too much junk food, because I can see in your fridge that you only have pizza and hamburger.
So it all depends the country where you're providing insurance service, I guess. What we see on the market on our side, in discussing with a number of them, is it all depends. Most of the time today, they provide preventive services. Like they try to make their customer learn about their own actions. There is no impact on the insurance bill at the end of the day, but they help their customer better manage their home, better manage their life, their well-being, their health at the end of the day as well. So it's more a preventive and learning approach rather than impacting the insurance bill at the end.
We have, I see that the next speaker is already ready to come in, so we have a few minutes to go to a conclusion about the...
On insurance, to your point, I mean, we started a journey with two companies, one in France with Allianz, essentially, with Nest Protect, which is our smoke and carbon monoxide detector. And that's been incredible. The partnership has been just unbelievable, and direction from consumer has been great. And there was really that notion that customers who are more aware of their homes and willing to be more aware are interesting customers to them. And it could be basic, it could be an acquisition tool, but it could be a bit more sophisticated than this. But still, you got the user in the middle. So when you talk about the data and the sharing of the data, I think it's not up to the insurance company on its own to decide. It's really like what's in it for the customer, what is the tangible benefit, and having an opt-in, revoke, still mechanism is still like, in our view, considered as like best practice out there. You can't just like send like a fire truck to somebody's home just because there was a trigger there. You need to have a responsibility also in the user's hands. It's not inhuman.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of overarch a description. I think that everybody here on this panel is working towards making other people's life easier. And a lot of that is either making certain processes more efficient or reducing costs. And one of the areas that you mentioned, why is my fridge going to be connected? And in terms of preventive fixing of certain things, is that what the Internet of Things allows people to do is to take all the heavy costs that were involved in transport and then reduce those by being able to transmit data, to be able to remotely diagnose. So it's taken a lot of the cost from transport and being able to to leverage the transmission power of certain devices to just completely eradicate that.
Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your attention and giving the end to Liam again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.